Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. In Manhattan, in a sumptuous villa overlooking Central Park, lived Alexander Whitman, a billionaire known as much for his colossal fortune as for his sharp analytical mind. His days were punctuated by meetings, contracts, and decisions that could move millions, but that evening, he came home earlier than expected. In the house, his housekeeper, Grace Thompson, ensured that every room was spotless. His only daughter, Lily, a 19-year-old with a keen intelligence and unwavering moral compass, sometimes helped him with his chores, never attracting attention. But Alexander had heard of her through silent praise and wanted to test something: her maturity, her discretion, her honesty. As he settled down on the living room couch, he decided to feign sleep, observing Lily's every move without her knowing. Through this simple test, he hoped to discover the girl's true character, the one that would perhaps forever change the dynamics of his home and its perception of honesty and trust. The silence of the villa, punctuated by the light rustling of papers and Lily's soft footsteps, would become the scene of a silent ordeal, and reveal much more than Alexander could have imagined. Alexander Whitman returned home earlier than usual. The light September rain streamed down the windshield of his luxury car as he pondered the files left on his desk. Tired from a day in which every decision had weighed millions of dollars, he entered his silent villa. The air was permeated with the subtle scent of polished wood and the fresh flowers that Grace, his faithful housekeeper, carefully tended. He glanced into the living room. Lily Thompson, Grace's daughter, was already there, sitting by the desk with some paperwork to sort through. Alexander gave a small smile. His plan was simple: watch, without Lily suspecting anything. He lay down on the sofa, grabbed a blanket, and closed his eyes, feigning a deep sleep. Lily, absorbed in her work, didn't look up. She was methodically organizing the files, carefully stacking each sheet, filing invoices and personal letters impeccably. She was completely unaware that her boss was standing a few meters away, his eyes half open, silently analyzing her. One detail caught her eye: Alexander's wallet, containing money and confidential documents, was lying on the coffee table next to the desk. Lily hesitated for a moment. "Don't touch, no taking or moving anything," she thought. Instead, she chose to protect the wallet by gently covering it with a heavy book, making sure no papers slipped or fell out. Alexander, though feigning sleep, felt a quiet satisfaction. This simple gesture, this instinctive honesty, was worth more than any recommendation or report. He mentally noted every movement, every silent decision. Lily continued her work methodically, without seeking to attract attention. She moved files carefully, double-checked each invoice, and replaced pens exactly where they belonged. Every gesture betrayed a keen awareness and an eye for detail that was beyond her years. As evening drew on, the air in the villa seemed heavier, almost charged with the anticipation of a moment that would reveal something important. Alexander already knew that tonight he wasn't just watching a young girl do her work. He was observing the potential, the character, and above all, the trust he could place in Lily. Lily continued sorting through the documents with near-perfect concentration. The piles rose from the desk like small, meticulously organized towers. Every bill, every letter, every note was carefully filed. She was unaware that someone was watching her closely. Alexander, still lying on the couch and feigning deep sleep, followed her every move. He noticed her precision, her calmness, and the way she avoided dropping anything. Even her simplest movements were imbued with delicacy and attention. Then his gaze fell on the open wallet next to the desk. The bills and important documents glistened in the dim living room light. Alexander knew immediately that this was the decisive moment. How will she react, think Tal. Lily, however, noticed the object without touching it. She paused for a moment, frowned, and thought, "It's not mine. I mustn't touch it." She chose to cover the wallet with a heavy book lying on the desk. Her hands were precise, as if every movement had been planned years in advance. She made sure nothing could fall or be moved. Alexander gave a small smile, invisible to Lily. This simple gesture, silent and discreet, revealed much more than girlish behavior. it demonstrated her integrity and maturity. But Alexander wanted to go a little further. To test her vigilance, he subtly dropped a document behind the sofa, out of her immediate reach. Lily was quick to notice. Without hesitation, she bent down, picked up the paper, and placed it exactly where it belonged. Alexander felt a quiet satisfaction wash over him. The young girl didn't know she had just passed her first test. She wasn't looking for rewards or recognition. Everything she did came naturally, out of her upbringing and her sense of responsibility. The silence in the villa was almost palpable. The only breaths heard were Lily's, concentrating, and Alexander's light breathing, still feigning sleep. The girl's every movement was carefully observed and analyzed. Alexander knew he had just laid the foundations for a relationship of trust, if she continued to prove herself worthy of that attention. As the evening wore on, Lily finished filing the last stack of documents. She arranged the pens on the desk, put the letters back in their envelopes, and took a deep breath, satisfied with her work. Without knowing it, she had just proven herself worthy of any trust her boss might one day place in her. Lily moved slightly away from the desk to replace a stack of files on the shelf. Her gaze fell again on Alexander's open wallet, lying carelessly on the coffee table. The bills were clearly visible, as were sensitive documents bearing his name and confidential information about his business. A thought crossed his mind: if I look, I might know things, but I shouldn't. It's not mine. Her heart beat a little faster, not out of temptation, but out of the weight of responsibility. She took a deep breath and made a decision that would betray the strength of her character: she would not touch the wallet. Instead of giving in to curiosity, Lily grabbed a heavy book from the desk and carefully covered the wallet, making sure no page or note protruded. Every gesture was precise, almost ceremonious. She wanted to protect what wasn't hers, leaving no trace of her presence. Alexander, still lying on the couch, felt a surge of inner satisfaction. Every movement Lily made, every silent decision, revealed her integrity. He reflected that few people, in this world filled with temptations and self-interest, would have acted in such a way. To push the test a little further, Alexander subtly dropped a small document behind the sofa, out of her immediate reach. The document slid slowly to the floor, as if to provoke a reaction. Lily, attentive, noticed this immediately. Without hesitation, she bent down, picked up the document, and placed it exactly where it belonged, as if instinctively knowing better than to move or damage anything. At that moment, Alexander thought, this girl is rare. She doesn't act for recognition or fear, but out of conviction. That's exactly what I was looking for. Lily, unaware of the scrutiny she was under, continued her work, methodical and silent. Every gesture seemed deliberate, yet natural. Alexander knew he had just witnessed a revealing moment. Lily's true nature revealed itself, without artifice, without forced testing, simply through her honesty and sense of responsibility. The silence in the villa seemed even deeper as night fell. The dim lamps cast soft shadows on the walls, accentuating the intimacy of the moment. Alexander closed his eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to savor this silent display of honesty and maturity. That evening, he realized that he had not just observed a young girl at work, he had discovered an exceptional, trustworthy personality, capable of handling responsibilities that few adults would accept without hesitation. Alexander Whitman, still feigning sleep on the couch, decided to push the test a little further. He wanted to observe Lily's reaction to a slightly more delicate situation, a real moral dilemma. As she was putting away the last of the files, he discreetly dropped an important document, a contract with confidential notes, behind the sofa. The paper slid smoothly to the floor, within reach of Lily but out of her immediate sight if she wasn't careful. Lily, intent, looked up and noticed the document. Her heart skipped a beat, but she showed no emotion. Without hesitation, she bent down, picked it up, and placed it back exactly where it belonged, making sure no other papers were out of place. She said nothing, made no sudden movements. Her calm was impressive. Alexander watched every movement. His inner smile widened. Lily had just proven that she possessed not only honesty, but also attentiveness, prudence, and respect for the affairs of others. She sought neither reward nor approval. Everything was natural, instinctive. For him, this gesture revealed a crucial point: the girl possessed a rare balance between curiosity and integrity. She instinctively knew where the line was between what she could and should not do. Alexander thought, he's exactly the kind of person I could trust in important moments. Lily, oblivious to the surveillance, finished her methodical tidying. She realigned the pens on the desk, made sure each file was neatly stacked and that no paper was sticking out. Every movement seemed meticulously orchestrated, but Alexander knew it all came naturally to her. The villa, silent and hushed, seemed to hold its breath. The lamps cast soft shadows on the walls, accentuating the silent tension of this ordeal. Alexander felt that the test had reached a crucial point. Lily's righteousness and discernment had been revealed, and he already knew that this young girl was not like the others. As the night wore on, he lay there, still feigning sleep, but his mind was racing. Every gesture he'd observed that night had given him valuable insight into Lily's personality, and he knew that the rest of their relationship could be pivotal, both for her and for him. After nearly 2 hours of silent observation, Alexander Whitman felt it was time to end his little test. He slowly sat up on the couch, letting out a soft noise as he stretched his arms. Lily jumped, her face frozen in a mixture of surprise and embarrassment. She'd never imagined her boss could be there, awake and watching her the whole time. "Mr. Whitman. I didn't mean to disturb you," she stammered, her cheeks slightly flushed. "On the contrary, Lily," Alexander replied in a calm, collected voice, "I wanted to see something, and you just showed it to me." Lily blinked, confused. "Show me what?" she asked timidly. Alexander gave a genuine smile. "Your honesty, your prudence, and your maturity. Everything you did tonight, every discreet gesture, every silent decision, you proved that I can trust you." Lily was silent for a moment, surprised and slightly embarrassed. She had simply done what she thought was right, without trying to impress anyone. She hadn't expected compliments, much less to be stared at in this way. You were awake the whole time?" she asked finally, with a mixture of fascination and incredulity. "Yes," Alexander replied with a slight laugh. "But I didn't say anything because I wanted to see your true character. And I must say, I'm impressed." Lily's heart was beating fast. She felt both pride and a slight unease. She had never been tested like this, let alone by someone she respected so much. Alexander stood up and walked over to her. "What you did tonight is not only a testament to your righteousness, Lily. It's also a glimpse of your potential. I believe you are capable of great things, and I want to help you achieve them." Lily, moved, looked down for a few seconds before looking up. "Thank you, Mr. Whitman. I'll do my best." Alexander smiled, satisfied. He knew he had just laid the foundations for a new relationship, one based on mutual respect, trust, and the opportunity to grow. That evening, Lily hadn't just passed a test, she had just opened a door to a future full of possibilities, and Alexander had just discovered a rare young woman, capable of handling the trust placed in her. The next morning, Alexander Whitman invited Lily to sit in the study, near the large bay window overlooking Central Park. The morning sun filtered through the curtains, illuminating the room with a soft, warm light. He wanted to talk with her, get to know her, and understand what motivated the remarkable honesty he had observed the day before. "Lily," Alexander began, "I want to know a little more about you. What drives you? What are your dreams, your ambitions?" Lily took a deep breath, surprised by the direct question but also touched by the genuine interest. "Well, I've always wanted to work in finance," she replied frankly. "I want to learn, understand how money works, and one day help people manage theirs." Alexander nodded, impressed by her clarity and determination. "And your mother?" he asked softly. "What influence did she have on you?" Lily smiled slightly. "My mother taught me respect and discipline. She works hard, always with integrity. She taught me to always do the right thing, even when no one is watching." Alexander felt a deep respect for this young woman. He remembered the gesture of the day before, when she had covered her wallet with a book, or replaced the document that had fallen behind the sofa. Everything she had just told him confirmed what he had observed. Lily's honesty was not a coincidence, but a reflection of solid and well-established values. "Lily," he said with a slight smile, "you have something rare. Few young people your age have this sense of honesty and lucidity. I want to help you develop this potential." Lily blushed slightly. I don't know if I deserve it, Mr. Whitman. I'm just doing what seems right to me." "Exactly," he replied, placing a friendly hand on her shoulder. "What seems right to you is exactly what makes the difference between someone good and someone exceptional." This moment created a special bond between them. Alexander saw in Lily not only an honest girl, but also a person capable of greater responsibilities. He began to consider giving her tasks that would go far beyond what she had previously done, responsibilities that could introduce her to worlds previously inaccessible to her. As Lily left the office, she felt a mixture of emotion and pride. She understood that this trust Alexander was showing her was rare, and she was determined not to disappoint him. For his part, Alexander was already thinking about how best to give her the opportunity to prove her worth even further. It was the beginning of a new relationship, based on respect, trust, and recognition of potential, a bond that promised to transform not only Lily's life, but also Alexander's perception of talent and integrity. A few days after their discussion, Alexander Whitman decided to put his trust in Lily into practice. He knew that theory was one thing, but a person's true worth was revealed in action. "Lily," he called to her one morning, "I'd like you to take over some responsibilities here at home. Nothing too complicated, but things that require attention and discernment." Lily looked up, surprised and slightly nervous. "Me? But I don't want to be mistaken, Mr. Whitman." Alexander smiled kindly. "That's exactly why I trust you. You've proven that you can handle delicate situations calmly and honestly." Her first task was to organize some personal and financial files left by her mother, Grace, and to handle some important correspondence. Alexander gave her clear instructions but allowed her some autonomy so that she could decide how to prioritize tasks. Lily took her role very seriously. Every document was carefully filed, every note read carefully. She double-checked every envelope before sending it and jotted down in a notebook anything that might require extra attention. Alexander, watching discreetly from his desk, couldn't help but smile. "You have an impressively methodical approach," he told her later that day. "It's not just your honesty I admire, but also your thoroughness and precision." Encouraged by these words, Lily felt a newfound confidence in herself. She understood that her work was not just a help to her mother or a service to Alexander, but a real opportunity to prove her worth and grow. As the days passed, Alexander began to assign her more complex tasks, sorting confidential financial documents, arranging meetings, and even checking certain details from minor investment projects. Lily handled everything with the same seriousness and integrity she had shown from the beginning. The bond between them grew stronger. Alexander saw in her not only an honest girl, but also someone capable of taking initiative and handling responsibilities with maturity. Lily, for her part, understood that this trust was rare and that she had to earn it every day. It was the beginning of a professional and personal relationship that went beyond the usual framework of an employer and a home helper. Alexander knew he had found someone valuable, someone who could one day become a reliable ally, capable of handling more than he could ever have imagined. As the weeks passed, Alexander Whitman entrusted Lily with more and more responsibilities. What had begun as a simple test had turned into an unexpected partnership. Every morning, she arrived early, prepared and determined, and every task Alexander assigned her was carried out with care and rigor. One afternoon, while working on a complex investment project, Alexander noticed Lily carefully observing his gestures and notes. "Lily," he said, smiling, "you're not only a valuable help around the house, you're beginning to understand how I run things." Lily blushed slightly, a mixture of pride and humility. I'm trying to learn, Mr. Whitman. Everything I do here helps me understand better." Alexander saw in her a rare quality, the ability to learn quickly, to observe, and above all, to think before acting. He decided to entrust her with an even greater responsibility, to audit the accounts of a small investment project he was considering, with instructions to report any inconsistencies. Lily agreed, knowing that this task was far beyond anything she had ever done before. She analyzed every detail meticulously, took careful notes, and at the end of the day, presented a clear and accurate report. Alexander read it carefully, impressed by her ability to quickly understand complex information and process it accurately. "You see, Lily," he said with a slight smile, "it's that kind of skill and seriousness that makes me believe you can accomplish great things." This recognition changed something in Lily. She began to feel not only respected but truly valued. She understood that her honesty and hard work had opened the door to opportunities few people could have. The bond between them grew stronger, based on mutual respect and trust. Alexander no longer had just an honest and prudent young woman under his roof, he had found a reliable partner, capable of handling complex responsibilities and taking initiatives. Lily, for her part, was beginning to see Alexander not only as an employer, but also as a mentor, someone who believed in her and her potential. Every day brought new learnings and challenges, and every success strengthened their bond. The villa, which had once been Lily's only workplace, became a space of trust, learning, and respect. Alexander knew he had found someone exceptional, and Lily knew she finally had the opportunity to show everything she was capable of. One evening, Alexander Whitman watched Lily in the living room. He knew it was time to test her one last time before giving her more strategic responsibilities. He assigned her a delicate project, sorting and analyzing a series of complex financial documents related to a recent investment. The task required not only thoroughness, but also discretion and discernment. "Lily," he said calmly, "this project is more complex than anything you've done so far. I want you to give me a detailed report and note any inconsistencies. Take your time, check every detail." Lily felt a slight apprehension. She knew this task was crucial and could determine her place in Alexander's trust. "I will do my best, Mr. Whitman," she replied determinedly. For several hours, she analyzed the documents. Every figure, every note, every contract was carefully checked. She took detailed notes, and when she identified a minor inconsistency in one of the contracts, she noted it and proposed a suitable solution. Alexander watched silently from his desk, impressed by her methodology and calmness under pressure. He knew he was not just dealing with an honest young woman, but with someone capable of understanding complex problems and proposing thoughtful solutions. When Lily handed him her report, Alexander read it carefully. Everything was precise, logical, and comprehensive. He smiled to himself. Lily had just passed the ultimate test. She had proven that she was not only trustworthy, but also possessed the skills and judgment necessary to handle important responsibilities. "Lily," he said, looking up at her, "you just showed me that I can entrust you with even more important tasks. This report is perfect. I am impressed by your seriousness and your ability to handle complex situations." Lily, relieved and proud, felt a surge of inner satisfaction. She realized that all her seriousness, patience, and honesty had paid off. "Thank you, Mr. Whitman. I'm glad I could show you what I can do." Alexander nodded. "And that's just the beginning, Lily." That evening, in the quiet of the villa, a new chapter in their relationship was taking shape. Alexander had found in Lily a valuable and capable ally, ready to take on real responsibilities, while Lily had gained a trust and mentorship she would never have imagined. A few weeks after the ultimate test, Alexander Whitman decided it was time to reward Lily's diligence and integrity. He invited her back into his study, this time with an air of seriousness mixed with admiration. "Lily," he began, "you have passed all my tests. You have proven your honesty, your intelligence, and your ability to handle complex responsibilities." Lily felt her heart pound. She had never imagined that a simple act of honesty, like covering a wallet or replacing a document, could lead to such a moment. I don't know what to say. Mr. Whitman, she stammered. Alexander smiled. "You don't have to say anything, Lily. Your actions speak for you. And because you've proven your worth, I want to offer you an opportunity that few get the chance to have." He handed her a folder containing an internship offer at his investment firm, a personalized mentoring program, and access to advanced training on financial management and strategy. "This is incredible," Lily murmured, her eyes shining. "I didn't expect this." "And you fully deserve it," Alexander replied. "This internship isn't just a reward. It's a chance for you to show that your potential can go even further." Lily felt a surge of gratitude and pride wash over her. Every gesture, every honest decision she'd made had been noticed, and now she had the chance to turn her life around. As the months passed, Lily excelled in her new role. She learned quickly, took initiative, and earned the trust of everyone who worked with Alexander. Her mother, Grace, watched with pride as her daughter transformed from a helper around the house to a young woman recognized and respected for her intelligence and integrity. Alexander, for his part, had found in Lily more than just an assistant or a promising intern. He had discovered an exceptional person, capable of loyalty, discernment, and initiative. Their relationship, based on trust and mutual respect, continued to strengthen. That evening, in the villa illuminated by the soft lights of Manhattan, Alexander reflected on how far he'd come. A simple test, a few acts of honesty, and Lily had proven she was much more than just an ordinary girl. She had become a valuable ally, an example of righteousness and potential. Lily, sitting next to him, smiled with emotion. She knew her life had changed, not because of luck, but because of her choices, her integrity, and her determination. And in that shared smile, they both understood that respect, trust, and recognition could transform a life more profoundly than any test or material wealth.